and I just cannot get over how crazy crowded it is here. Like, if you show up at the beach now and you don't pay for an umbrella, where are you gonna put your stuff? How is that gonna work?
Welcome back on board the gigantic and very colorful Costa Smeralda cruise ship. Today I'm doing something I haven't done in a very long time, and that is I'm going to take a ship-sponsored excursion. I'm Morgan from the very unofficial travel guides. I travel all around the world to popular and not so popular tourist destinations to give you a very honest, unofficial look at what it's like to be there. And I also wrote a book with crazy, true travel stories of things that have happened to me around the world. It's called Getting Stitches on a Cruise Ship. It's available on Amazon now. And the reason that I haven't done a cruise-based excursion in a long time is because I'm more of a kind of do-it-yourself kind of person. I like to explore on my own, I like to go at my own pace, and I don't like to necessarily be tied down by a schedule. And I know that there are a lot of other travelers out there who are like me and just kind of like to go on their own. And when you book a cruise sponsored excursion, you don't have a lot of those options, depending of course on what kind of excursion it is. Well, I am cruising the Mediterranean again, and we are here in Sicily in the port of Palermo, a place I have been several times before. And because it is the summer, and because the weather in Hamburg where I live has been totally crappy lately, I decided on this cruise I want to get as much sun as I can. So today I wanted to go to the famous Mondello beach. Now, of course, I could have got there on my own by just going off the ship, getting into a taxi and taxiing it over to the other side of the island. But when I looked at what a taxi was probably going to cost and looked at what the cost of renting an umbrella and a chair there was going to be, I figured, okay, well, the cruise excursion, which only cost 55 euros, probably not that bad of a deal. So let me show you what it was like. I started my day with a little breakfast up in the buffet and a nice view of the harbor. Our meeting time was at bus 44 at 8:30, and I was really pleased to see that the cruise terminal here that they've been building for probably 5 or 6 years is finally at least partially open. This is the first time in all these visits to Palermo that I've actually gotten to go inside this building, even though I've seen it. I think every time I've been here, they've been constructing it. I think the same people that built this terminal are the people who built the Tron coaster in the Magic Kingdom.
If you look behind me, a lot of these guys standing around here with like the little information things in their hands, they're trying to get you to buy a tour from them, go with their taxi, go with their rickshaw or whatever. And I always call them the vultures because, like, as soon as you come out of the cruise terminal, and this is in so many cruise ports, but as soon as you come out of the terminal, they surround you and everybody's holding something in your face, asking you a question. And I always think that aggressive tactic makes me want to go with them less. You know what I mean? I don't know how I would recommend they do it otherwise. Maybe just have a stand setting up where you can approach it if you are interested, rather than have them surround you like that. What do you think?
I was greeted by the tour guide and welcomed into the double-decker bus, which was not as cold as the bus to the beach on Ibiza was. It's absolutely freezing in this bus. And in fact, I could have used a couple degrees cooler because it is hot in Sicily. I mean, it shouldn't be surprising that in the Mediterranean in the summer,
it's hot.
And I definitely don't need it to be like 60 degrees everywhere I go, but it was kind of warm in this bus. The drive over across to the other side of the island, I mean, it's not like the exact other side of the island, but it's the other side of this corner of the island. Took about 25 minutes, and our tour guide told us a couple interesting facts on the way over there. Once we arrived at the beach, she told us that where we were getting dropped off is the exact place that we were going to be picked up, and that we should all be on time and make sure that we wash all the sand off of our feet. She didn't say anything about having like wet butts or wet swimsuits. More important to her was no sand. She walked us across the street and just a little ways down the beach to the beach club that I guess the cruise line works together with, and from there the beach boy, is that what they're called? The beacharello, he showed us where our chairs were.
Here we are at the beach. It took about 20 minutes to drive over here. It wasn't as long as I thought it was going to take. When I looked at how long the city bus
takes to get over here. It said almost an hour, but I think that's probably because it stops a lot. And of course, we didn't stop anywhere on the way here because the bus was just for people on the cruise ship. And our guide walked us over here to the club that we are booked at. All these yellow umbrellas here are part of the beach club or the bar that is sponsored by the excursion. And I was a little bit confused. They said, okay, this is your section here. And I picked out a place to go. And then the beach boy working here came and said, no, please only take one of the umbrellas that's already open. That's the area that's reserved for us. So not a big deal, but just a little bit of a learning curve. So you can see there are umbrellas and then 2 chairs and a little table, and each booking gets one of these sets, an umbrella, 2 chairs, and the little table. Right back up here is where the bar and facilities are that belong to our club. And it's about 9 o'clock in the morning right now, and our guide said they don't open until 10:30. So I'm gonna have to leave the club here to get a bottle of water because I didn't bring one, or just maybe buy one from all these vendors walking up and down the beach, yelling the entire time. This is not a quiet beach. The beach I was at a couple days ago on Ibiza, the clothing optional side, was much chiller, much quieter than this. And let me just remind you again, it's 9:30 in the morning and it is already super crowded here. The front area of the beach here is the public area. This is where anybody can just set up shop. And behind the gate here, or behind all the gates, that is then the private beach clubs that offer the facilities and shade. So if you want to come to the beach here or in so many Mediterranean ports, you don't need to pay to go to a beach club, but it offers a certain amount of conveniences that you won't have if you just go to the public part, including a little bit more space. Kind of just across the street from the beach club, a little bit more down, there are several cafes. I went into this one and I got a bottle of water and a little vegetarian pizza for $4.50. So not bad at all. And I wanted to show you this. Check this out. There's kids playing in the street. I love that. Give this video a thumbs up if you were one of these kids playing in the street when you were growing up. I miss that. I feel like kids don't do it anymore. By the way, in the cafe, I experienced something that I've experienced at a few cafes traveling through Italy. And I mean, this is Sicily here, but instead of going to the counter and ordering what you want and then bringing it to the cash register, you go to the cash register, order what you want, and then you bring the receipt to the counter and then they give you what you ordered. So I think it is time to get in the water. And I did bring my water shoes with, so I don't cut my foot open on a rock and have to get stitches on a cruise ship again. But I'm gonna go down there and test it out once without my water shoes because I would prefer to not wear them because they get all wet and full of sand and I don't have a balcony and I don't know where I'm gonna put them to dry before the end of the cruise. So I'm gonna check it out and see if it's okay without the shoes very carefully first. This is like the postcard view walking down this wooden jetty towards the beach. And can you see how crowded it's gotten out here outside of the gates? Like, how am I even gonna navigate here through all these people just to get to the water? But like I said, this is the free area of the beach where anybody can set up shop. The water is warm. It's like, I'm not gonna say it's bath water, but it feels like a heated pool. So it's really hot outside and this is not gonna be refreshing at all. That's not me complaining. I'm just saying, you know, on such a hot day, you wanna go in the water because you wanna cool off, but this is not gonna cool anybody off. And the water is so clear. I can even see some little fishies in there too. And the bottom is totally soft and sandy. No rocks, no need for water shoes. I like. This is a pretty spectacular backdrop for a beach. And I'm experiencing a phenomenon here that
I think I've only experienced on Miami Beach before, and that is when I walked out to about where that guy's doing the handstand right now. It got about as deep as my shoulders, which for a normal person is probably about as deep as your waist. And then when I kept walking to where I am right now, it got shallow again. So I don't know if you can see now, but now it's only like up to my waist. So that's kind of interesting that like you go out, it gets deep, and then it gets shallow again. Ooh, check out the lifeguards on their stand-up paddleboards. That's kind of cool. Nice to know that they're watching out for people here. I'm actually kind of surprised about how little waves there are as well. I wonder if that has to do with the tide or the location, or, you know, like the time of the day. Maybe there's more waves later, or I think especially if the weather's not as calm as it is right now, there's probably more waves, but it's like almost literally no waves. I kind of like playing in the waves. How about you? And I just cannot get over how crazy crowded it is here. Like if you show up at the beach now and you don't pay for an umbrella, where are you gonna put your stuff? How is that gonna work? It's just like trying to get a space at the pool deck on a ship here. You gotta get there early or no space for you. And now it's time for a pizza. And that is looking pretty darn good, I have to say. And like I said, this little, well, you know, little compared to what? This personal pizza and that big bottle of water was only $4.50. Really not bad for beach resort prices, right? And just like that, our time at the beach is up. I feel like this was much too short. I could have stayed another few hours, especially now that the bar and restaurant was open. It's 12:10 and our tour director said be back on the bus by 12:15 and wash the sand off your feet, which I did. And I actually did pretty good as far as not burning my feet until my last trip from the chair up to where the little shower was. That was hot.
In the bus on the way home, we took a longer way back, which of course was interesting for people who had never been on the island, who have never been here, because we got to see a couple sites on the way back. A disadvantage about the whole thing, as far as I'm concerned, is it was even hotter in the bus on the way back, and then because we took a different way, it was longer. Altogether, I think for 55 euros, this was totally okay. The only thing that I wish I could change about it were that just have it be a little bit cooler in the bus, and I could have spent another 2 or 3 hours at the beach. I feel like 3 hours, it's not enough time. And I don't know if they got feedback in the past from people saying they wish they were back on the ship for lunch, or why it's only 3 hours, but it could have been longer. And in that sense, if I were to do it on my own, the way I usually do, and have taken a taxi over there, then I could have stayed there as long as I felt like I wanted to stay there and still make it back to the ship on time, and probably have spent about the same amount of money, maybe slightly more, depending on the taxi. And if I had been able to find some people, maybe from the ship, who wanted to share a taxi, then it would have probably cost less. I have a lot of different travel-related videos like this on the Very Unofficial Travel Guide, so you might want to consider subscribing before you go. Please press thumbs up, check out Getting Stitches on a Cruise Ship, and I hope to see you back here soon. Bye-bye.